A tender for Thomas. Thomas loved working on his branch line, but he sometimes felt left out when the bigger engines talked about their tenders. Gordon, Henry, and James often teased him about it. "You'll never be a proper engine without a tender, Thomas," said James one morning at Knapford. "Tenders are for engines who pull important trains," Gordon added grandly. "You're just a little tank engine." Thomas huffed. "I don't need a tender. I have my own coal and water with me all the time." Henry chuckled. "That's just what an engine without a tender would say." Thomas scowled and ran off to fetch his coaches. He grumbled all the way to Farquhar. "Just because I don't have a tender, they think I'm not important," he fumed. "I'll show them." Later that day, Thomas was shunting in the yard when Percy puffed up, looking excited. "Thomas, there's something at the works you've got to see." Thomas was curious. He hurried off and soon arrived at Crovan's gate. To his astonishment, sitting outside the works was a Fowler tender, painted bright blue, just like him. "That looks just like it would fit me," Thomas gasped. The works foreman overheard. "It's from an engine that was scrapped recently. We were going to repaint it for another use, but if you'd like to try it, Thomas, I'm sure the Fat Controller wouldn't mind." Thomas's eyes lit up. "Oh, yes, please." Soon, the tender was coupled behind him. Thomas felt bigger and stronger than ever. The next morning, Thomas proudly rolled into Knapford station with Annie and Clarendon, and his tender. The big engines were speechless. Well, smirked James. "Looks like someone's been playing dress up." Thomas ignored him. "Now I'm a proper engine, just like you." But Thomas quickly learned that having a tender wasn't as easy as it looked. At the next station, he tried to run around his train, but the tender got in the way. "Oh, bother," he muttered. Shunting became a nightmare, and refilling his coal and water took much longer than before. That afternoon, as he tried to climb Gordon's hill, he realized something else. The tender made him heavier. He struggled up the incline, his wheels slipping. Gordon passed by and smirked. "Need some help, little tank engine?" Thomas gritted his teeth. He did not want to ask for a push. By the time he returned to the works, Thomas was exhausted. The tender had made his work slower, not better. The works foreman chuckled. "Not as fun as you thought." Thomas sighed. "I thought having a tender would make me grand like Gordon, but it only made my work harder. I think I'll stick to being a tank engine." The tender was uncoupled, and Thomas felt light and free again. He returned to his branch line, proud to be a tank engine. The next morning, James teased him again. "No more tender, Thomas." Thomas only smiled. "I don't need one. I have everything I need right here." Percy cheered. "That's the spirit, Thomas." And even Gordon had to admit, maybe tank engines aren't so bad after all. Thomas just laughed and set off happily down the line.